Hello everyone, my name is Ellison and I'm running for the United States Senate. I want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us tonight as we engage in our Fridays for Florida discussion on Civics 101. The reason we decided to have the conversation on civics is because there is confusion on the difference between a federal senator and a state senator. In the state of Florida, we have a legislative body that encompasses House of Representatives members as well as senators. And in the state of Florida, the legislative body, Florida's legislature, it is set up to write policy, to write laws that impact the state. Those laws go to the governor's desk for ratification to actually become official laws in this state. And it works very similar to what we do at the federal level. So at the federal level, that's Congress. Congress is also made up of a House of Representative group of members, as well as 100 senators. So there's 435 members of the House of Representatives and there's 100 senators. In the state of Florida, we have 2 senators, 2 of which who are not doing a good enough job working for the people, which is why I am running. In those positions, they're supposed to write policy to positively impact not only the state of Florida, but people from across the entire country. Policy has the ability to have international impact as well. So in our government, in our federal government, we have 3 branches of government. Those 3 branches are broken down into the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. In the executive branch, which is also known as the enforcement arm of the federal government, its job is to carry out the laws that are written by the legislative branch. I am running for U.S. Senate, so that falls under the legislative branch, which its job is to write laws that benefit the American public. The judiciary, which is where the Supreme Court is housed, those members of the Supreme Court under the judiciary is supposed to interpret the laws that are written by the legislative branch. All of these branches, the 3 that exist, are set up in such a way where they are supposed to create what is known as a checks and balance system, where one branch of the government places a check and balance on the other so that neither branch becomes too powerful. This was written by the framers of our Constitution, which America has the oldest written Constitution in the world. Our current Constitution is about 235 years old. And so it was written with the ability to be amended with a 2/3 vote in both houses of the Congress, and it can be ratified by the president. And so that's how we have gotten the amendments to keep up with the times. Because as time goes on, things change, and the Constitution has the ability to evolve with the times. And so we want to make sure that people understand how our government works so that whenever they have problems, they will know who to go to. Quite oftentimes, people vote for presidents based on the actual job description of what a House of Representative member or a senator would actually do. And so the people who can directly impact your world the most is usually the members of Congress, because they are the ones who are actually writing the laws that will have direct impact or indirect impact on your life. And so I always like to educate people so that they can better understand not only how to recognize who's going to impact their world, but also to make sure that they are voting for the right people. And so whenever you hear politicians talk about what they're going to do, what they're going to promise you, you have to understand that out of 535 members in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, your person that you will be voting for in your district or in your state is only one person out of all of those people. So in order for them to accomplish the things that they say that they're going to be doing for you, in order for them to accomplish their campaign promises, they would have to get a majority of the members of Congress to agree with them before their ideas can become a bill that can pass both the House and the Senate and make it to the president's desk. Sometimes we get caught up into what people are saying and that we vote on them without understanding the process that it has to go through. And sometimes these people, they're making promises knowing very well that these promises could never be fulfilled. And so it's always good to understand the political process, because it brings things back down to earth so you can understand, how far it can go. Right now, there are members of our government that want to cut federal programs in order to make room for new programs. There are members of the federal government who want to raise taxes on certain individuals who make a certain amount of money in order to pay for certain programs. But these two concepts usually ends in a stalemate, and we usually are not able to get policy moved forward because of the differences of political, philosophical ideology on any one issue. So the goal would always need to be getting around those two arguments so that we can move forward. One of the reasons that I'm running as a progressive is because not only do I share the progressive platform, but I also have progressive ideas on how we pay for these progressive policies. For example, Medicare for all or universal health care is something that I believe that every American deserves. We should not have to be figuring out or trying to figure out how we're going to pay for premiums every month for insurance. We shouldn't have to be trying to figure out how we're going to meet a deductible. We should be able to just go to a hospital and get the services that we need. After all, we are the largest economy. We are the greatest nation in the history of the world. But yet in some areas of life, we are still behind 33 other developed nations. I believe that we should be able to have a universal basic income. And for those of you who don't know what that is a set aside sum of money. It could be $1,500, it could be $2,400 a month that the government would give to every citizen. Every developed nation has some form of a basic income coming in from the government. They have different names. Some are called equalization payments in some governments. Some governments call it a wage subsidy. But what it's designed to do is to give every citizen in a country a basic income so that they don't fall below the poverty line. It's something set up so that people can meet their bare necessities. So if you are getting those resources from the federal government and you happen to have a job or maybe even start a business, then you can build from there and live a better quality of life. I support a universal basic income because whenever the pandemic hit, a lot of people lost jobs, a lot of people lost loved ones, businesses closed. A lot of these businesses will never come back. 70 million people were literally out of work. A universal basic income could have helped millions of Americans be able to bridge the gap while we were dealing with this pandemic. When we start talking about how we're going to pay for some of these programs, oftentimes we end up in our Congress with debate that goes nowhere. And so we have to have people who are creative enough, people who are skillful enough, people who desire to bring about progressive policies, progressive ideas to meet the issues that we face in our nation. And so, whenever you are thinking about who you're going to vote for in these elections, you have to look at, one, how is our government set up? Is it working? Could it work better? And who's the best candidate to help make our government better? The framers of our Constitution was always trying to create a system that would become better over time, creating that more perfect union. And the power really rests with you, the people. The more you are educated about our government, the more you are educated about policy, the more you are educated about the process and the candidates, the better opportunities we will have in having the best elected officials to represent our collective interests. I said that the power rests with you, and the reason it does is because it is you, the people, that make it possible for us to have the right leadership. And so that's why we're having the conversation around Civics 101, so that we can begin to understand our power, our collective power. Right now, there are people in government that are literally trying to take away your power. And the way they want to be able to take it away is to take away your right to vote. Your vote is sacred. Your vote is your voice. Your vote gives you the opportunity to have a say in the outcome of our government and the outcome of our society. And so if you were to utilize your vote and get others to do the same, I believe that we all have more in common, and the best possible outcome will take place when we all become politically involved, politically engaged, and that's why we do what we do each and every Friday, Fridays for Florida. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here with us tonight. If you have been inspired by what we had to say, please visit our website at allenellison.com, make a contribution, join our movement. We are here to improve the quality of life for every single American, no matter the party, no matter the race, no matter the social economic status. We owe it to one another to do our part to come together and move forward in our society. Thank you all so much. Again, my name's Allen Ellison, running for the United States Senate. You have a wonderful evening.